Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to What the Fuck Are We Doing? I'm Randie.
And I'm Miranda. And I just want to
And
publicly apologize for the way that I look right now.
you look fine.
I feel like sweaty and slobby. And you know what else I was thinking? I was listening to a podcast we both listened to today. And they don't introduce themselves. And
Uh-huh.
I was like, do we have to introduce ourselves anymore? Do you think people know
Really?
us? Yeah, they. And then I realized they never introduce themselves. I don't
I
know.
think I know what. Oh, I know what you're talking about. I don't know. I feel
When
like
do you make the transition?
I don't know when you're making money off of it. Maybe I don't know.
You have millions of followers.
Yeah.
I guess
Like
so.
by now, like people know who we are, but it's like I don't know. I just think if like we randomly get a new listener, because I think about like the random men that I've been sending
Yeah.
the podcast to who listen. I'm like,
I don't disagree with that because and then I thought when I first listened to that podcast, I didn't know who was who because they never said.
Yeah,
who
I
they
never
were.
knew either. I had to go on their Instagram
Same
to
and,
see.
and I thought I knew, and then
I didn't.
Marla would be like, "This one that sounds like this, it's her," and I was like, "Oh my god!" Like,
Yeah, no.
I feel like our voices go. I like to think they go with us, but who knows? I'm gonna start looking at
For
like
all we know, someone could be thinking like,
I'm you and
yeah,
you're me.
like the opposite. And then they like go on Instagram and they're like, what the fuck?
I love that. If that's ever happened to you, please tell us because that would be so funny. Because I like when I'm looking at you talking, I feel like my voice could go with you, and like I feel like your voice could go with me. So maybe
I don't know. That's crazy. Imagine.
I've never thought about that, but that's because we live with our voices every day.
Yeah, we do. Or I've
Wow.
slowly grown to like mine. But
Me
hello,
too.
guys.
Except on video, which sucks because we do a podcast. But
I
that's
feel
okay.
like I slowly just got used to it. Because
Yeah.
remember when we first started?
We were so stupid. I wish
Uh,
people could have seen videos from then because we would literally do it like how many
That
times
shit
would we
was
record?
stressful. I just remember our first time ever recording.
Oh my god, it took us like an hour to a 1 minute intro. More than an hour. We were like, does that one sound good? Does that one sound good?
Yeah.
Oh my god, humiliating.
We're
That
so
was
much
funny
fun.
though.
Yeah, it was. But hi guys, welcome back. We're finally back
Mhm.
with a new episode for you guys. This week we're talking about what we discussed. It wasn't last week, was it?
We like briefly, yeah. We brought it up a little in our
We didn't. We missed last week, right?
No, we did our resolutions.
Oh yeah.
Well, that was
it
this
was
week.
we took a
We took a
we
hiatus.
took a week. Yeah, I forgot. Okay, I was wondering. I'm like, did we just come back from break?
We
There's so
can't
much.
get our lives together.
My brain is fried. See, that just shows you guys. Like
Same.
there's a lot going on up here.
We both just started school.
Yeah.
We're both working and we're both tired and we're both doing this. So we don't know.
So
what
bear with
day
us,
it
please.
is. We're
Um,
doing whatever.
I'm very happy Miranda is not sick anymore. We're back in action.
I made it and I could taste food and smell again. Hallelujah.
You can. I was gonna ask you that. I was like, is that okay? Because you haven't said anything about it, so I'm like, I think she's okay. I don't want to bring it
couple
up.
things that are still weird. Like I had orange juice the other night and it tasted really like chemically, which was
Chemically?
weird.
I would say
Like
chemically.
yeah,
Yeah.
like it
Yeah.
wasn't like tart. It was like chemicals. And then there's a few things like when I smell, it's just not as strong.
Okay.
But it's back and it's fucking better than nothing, which was horrible and
Good.
weird.
I'm glad. I'm happy for you.
Same.
She has recovered and we're back. And this week we're talking about imposter syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's crazy that we're talking about this because, so you know this, but I just started watching Insecure,
I need to watch it.
which is a show. If any of you guys have watched it, please let's talk about it because I am like fully fucking invested. This
It's
is
on
like my new
HBO,
favorite
right?
show. Yes, it's
Okay, I
my new
need to
favorite
watch it.
show. I'm dying for you to watch it because there's so much I want to talk to you about, but it's super weird. I don't know if this is just me being so invested, but like part of me feels like one of like the main character in the show, like the
Mhm.
things she's going through. I feel like it's stuff I'm like kind of currently
Is she
going
like
through.
our age?
She turns 30 like within the first season.
Oh, got it. Okay, that's
But,
not that far off.
Yeah, it isn't to think about that. But in one of I'm like binging the fuck out of it, but they do these things after each episode because you know how HBO they'll like do a deeper look inside the episode where they talk to like
I love HBO.
Yeah. So they do this thing called the wine down and they drink wine and discuss the show. So they were talking about it, and they were talking about imposter syndrome. And they were like, they used that as like an example in the show, and they were talking about it. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, we're talking about this today. Like, how crazy. Yep. And it's like so insane, which we'll get into imposter syndrome and what that is if you don't know what it is. But in the show, they were talking about it. I'm like, these are like rich ass celebrities who still say that they feel like,
isn't that crazy?
Some type of way. And I was like,
happens to everybody.
I was like, this is insane. And one of the actors on there, he was like, on my way here, like I googled like what is imposter syndrome, because he's like, I didn't know what the fuck that was. And he's like, I'm reading about it. I'm like, damn, I felt this way so many times. And I'm like, dude, it's true. Like everyone feels that way at some point in their lives, I like to think. And if you don't, awesome for you. But
I think that people probably feel it and don't even know what it is. They probably are just like, oh, I'm just doubting myself. Like,
yeah, because see, that's what like that guy said. He's like, I didn't even know that's like there was a name.
That there's a thing.
Until I looked it up, and I was like, oh, I felt that way many, many times.
You're like, welcome to the world.
Yeah, I feel like that's something I'm currently going through, and I know that's something you're currently experiencing, especially with school. Yeah. And yeah, I feel the same way.
I think it's very common in like your mid-ish 20s. Because you're like supposed to be like figuring it out and like
that's what they say, right?
Yeah. And so I think people do like a lot of things that they either one like are totally capable of doing, or they think they should be doing, and then they're like, oh my god, I shouldn't be here, oh my god, whatever. I feel that way all the time.
I feel like, I don't know what it was or what it is, but I feel like I've been feeling that way more recently. And I think part of it is where I work. So like I've talked about it before, but like I'm very close with this girl at my work who is younger than me. She's 19, I'm 24. And I think just being around more people that age that like aren't my family has been making me be like, holy shit, like I'm the older one.
Yeah, isn't that
and
so weird?
And I've never been the older one.
When
like,
I worked at Target, that was me. Like they'd be like, "How old are you?" And I'd be like, "Oh, how old was I? 24. I was gonna be 25."
Yeah, like, and they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, huh?"
They'd be like, "I thought you were 18." I'm like, "Wait, how old are you?" And they're like, 18.
See, yeah, that's the like till this day, I've been at my job like 8 months now, 7 months now. Time. Holy shit.
What?
Wild. That's just crazy to me. Like
I know. There, like, isn't that crazy? Because remember, we were both so sad and unemployed. I mean, we weren't sad. We were kind of living our best lives. I was kind of just living my best life. Yeah, I wish I could go back to that sometimes. Me
but,
too.
No, like I do that where I'll be talking to people at work, and like, you know, even when I was really new. But like some of the guys at work still do that to me, where I'll be like, "Oh, how old are you?" And they'll be like, "Oh, I'm 21 or 20," and I'm like, "Oh," and they're like, "Why? How old are you?" And I'm like, I'm 24, like, and they're always like, you're 24? And I'm like, oh my God, why are you saying it like that?
And you know what's so
And they're
weird?
always like, oh, I thought you were 19 or like
There's
21.
Something weird there, because when I worked at Target, there's like older people that work there, like a lot of older people. Like they could be my mom, they could be my dad. And then there's young people. Same. But like me being the middle age was like so like, oh my God. And
yeah,
like, there's people that are our grandma's age here. Why are you questioning me?
No, that's how I feel. I'm like, why are you making me feel so old?
There's literally old people.
Yeah, like there's actual elders here waddling around.
Yeah, and like that always tripped me out, because I was like, why is everyone so weirded out by this? Like there's older people, there's people
like
that
I'm
are like
in between.
Yeah, there's like the 35 and up people, and then like the 18 to like
the people just graduated.
Yes.
Yeah.
When people were telling me when I worked at Target that they just graduated, I assumed they graduated college. And then I was like, oh my God, you just graduated high school.
No,
like,
I think.
Ew.
Yeah, because I started in 2021. It was still like very pandemic, and I remember like getting to know, getting close to some of these younger. I want to say younger kids, but these younger adults, because I'm still a young adult. But they're like, oh, I'm 18, 19. And they're like, yeah, I just graduated from high school. And I'm like, oh, my God, like, you graduated during the pandemic. Like, you're super fresh.
Yeah, like you just
this is weird.
Finished. Yeah, I mean, some of the kids I worked with, like, left because they were going to college. And I was like, oh, this is like, weird. Like, this is their first time going to college. Weird.
Yeah.
That made me feel like... I feel like, would that be like reverse imposter syndrome? Because you're like, I should not be here, but not because you're not good enough, but because you're like, I'm fucking old.
Like I should be doing better than
that's,
this almost.
yes, right? Would that be
I'm
like
like,
reverse, or would that
what's
still
the
be the
worst for
same
that?
thing? I
I
don't
don't
know. And
know.
there's nothing wrong with those jobs. Like, people can make careers out of them. But it makes you feel that way. Like, I felt the same way. I was like, oh my God, they're just graduated high school. Like, should I not be doing this fucking job? Like,
Yeah. I'm like, we got
I
the
don't
same
know.
salary.
Yeah.
We make the same amount of money. Like, what?
They're fucking balling. They're in high school.
Yeah,
making
and I'm like,
money.
good for you. I'm like, good for you guys. Shit. I'm like, damn, if I
I'm
was making
like,
that
this
much.
is not enough money for me to pay my bills.
No, like, that's me. Like, there's times I'm like, damn, I was making more at this age than I am now. Like, just little things.
When
I'm
I
like,
was working at Target, I was almost making $10 less than what I made at my first corporate job. And I was just kind of like, well, I guess here it is. Like, you do what you got to do. Would that be like? But let me see.
I have no idea what that would be.
I don't
But
know
I think
either.
we've been talking about it so much.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry guys if you could hear my family. I don't know why they're being so loud today out of nowhere.
We have no more words about
like out of all the days that they decide to be loud, it's always like when you're recording.
My dad's doing like construction on the front door. Okay, let's see. I found this amazing article, people, by Valerie Young, who is an Imposter Syndrome Institute co-founder. So this is literally all she talks about, and
that's a real job title.
Yeah, she
that's
does
so
like
crazy
TED Talks and stuff, and that's what she talks about. And she has this whole thing, but I guess we should tell you what it is first. Yes. Do you want me to give you a definition, or do you want to give a definition?
I want you to.
Okay, let me pull up the most. Let's see. Imposter syndrome. Okay, it says imposter syndrome is loosely defined as doubting your abilities and feeling like a fraud. It disproportionately affects high-achieving people who find it difficult to accept their accomplishments. Many question whether they're deserving.
Yeah, I think this most of the time, especially when it comes to school.
Me. I think it doesn't really affect like other aspects of my life, I don't think. I think maybe when I worked my corporate job, I kind of had that because I didn't know what I was doing. And like they would talk about things and I would just kind of like fake it like I knew what was going on to be like, and then I eventually learned. But like in my job I'm at now, I decided just to like when I first started to be like very upfront, like I don't know any of this stuff. You can't expect me to know any of this because I've never done this. So I don't have that in my job, but like majorly with school, I think. But not at my job anymore, which is good. But where do you have this at in your life? School?
Mine is school mostly. Like, I hate to say it. It's not that I don't care because usually I care way too much about everything. Mm-hmm. But I feel like nothing else in my life right now like really matters to me that much, to like my job, like I could care less.
Well, that's the thing, like we're both
I understand
in, like,
it's a part-time job, like
yeah.
like I'm not freaking out about it anymore. But for me it's school. Like I've talked about it many times, and Miranda, I probably sound like a broken record, but this is my last semester of college, and especially lately, like it's just the beginning of it, like it just started, like we just had syllabus week. But I don't know, part of me is like, school hasn't necessarily been easy for me, like college. But sometimes, like, I feel like I get away with doing, like, not the bare minimum, but, like, I do so well in my classes sometimes, and I feel like I don't put in so much work. And I'm, like, part of me is, like, this isn't good. I'm like, what are you going to do when you get into your career? Like, are you knocking?
Over?
Yeah. And I'm like, what's going to happen? Like, what's going on? But that's the thing. Like, there's, like, sometimes, like, I could put in all the work into school and still do really well. But it's weird because I feel like I'm probably going to jinx myself into my last fucking semester. But it's been college has been pretty easy for me. And it's like, I get so freaked out about it because I'm like, so what do I do when I graduate? I'm like, is all of a sudden, like, the whole world's going to fall down and I'm not going to know what I'm doing at my job? Like, just because I'm doing so well now? Like, what's happening?
In undergrad, I've always been a school person. I just have done pretty well in school, but I've had to work pretty hard too. Like, it wasn't like I just, like, blah, blah, blah. But in undergrad, I just didn't, not that I didn't care, but I didn't, it wasn't as big of a deal as, like, grad school is to me. And maybe that's because I'm fucking paying for it. Or maybe it's because...
Yeah, see, like, I've always paid for my own school. So,
but I also think, like, in undergrad, I was going to college because I needed to go to college and get a degree. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. Where now I'm like, I'm going for this reason. And these people that are in my classes are also going for this reason. And I think that's why sometimes I, like, doubt myself.
You think it's more, like, competitive?
I don't know if it's
like, I feel like the way, like, you're saying it almost, like, to me, I'm taking it as, like, it's a competition.
I think that's how I feel sometimes.
Like survival of the fittest. Like, who's going to make it? Yeah, because, like, we're all going for the same thing.
Think I'm dumb? Are they going to think, why is she fucking here?
Oh, I felt that way so many times in, like, group discussions.
And no one's making you feel that way. Like, it's just you.
It's just yourself. You're convincing yourself otherwise.
And, like, so I just started classes this week. So it's just, like, we literally went over the syllabus for 2 hours in both of my classes. But they were talking about, like, this paper's due and this is due. And I'm, like, reading them and I'm like, fuck. Like, am I going to be able to write this paper? And then I'm like, look at these other people in your class. If they could do it, you could do it. And I'm like, you can do it. Like, but
that's so fucked. Imagine being that one person that someone's like, oh, if they can do it, I can do it. Like, I always think about that because I do that sometimes where I'm like, oh, if that person can do it, like,
all the time. Or when I told you, like, in last week's episode, like, someone was like, oh, what'd you get on this? And I told them, and they were like, oh. And inside I was kind of like, yes, you did good.
Yeah,
like,
I did better.
You did it. Yeah. But that's kind of fucked up. But I just
That's
get it
life,
really
baby.
I just get it really bad with school. And I think it's going to happen, like, as we transition into, like, our actual professions,
careers.
Too. Yeah, because...
Oh, that's what I'm most nervous for.
The first time I sit in front of someone and I am their therapist, I'm going to shit myself. Because they're going to be like, don't you know what you're doing?
I don't know why this, like, just didn't cross, like, my mind for a second. But I was thinking about it while we were getting ready to record this. So I feel like I get imposter syndrome when it comes to the podcast at times. Like, being being super honest. Because, I mean, there's times where I feel like, okay, like, let's just say I'm getting to know a guy and I'm talking to them about it. And if you know me personally, well, like, to an extent, like, obviously Miranda knows about the fucking podcast because she's the co-host. And, like, my other, like, really close friends. Yeah. But if you, like, first meet me, like, people at work, like, I didn't tell anyone about it because, like, I was people I work with. Yeah. But, like, when I go out and, like, I meet someone and I'm talking to them, they're like, oh, what do you do? Like, it's very rarely where I'm like, oh, I have a podcast.
Is it because you're scared that they're going to listen and be like, that's not a fucking podcast? Like, what a loser. Is that what you're scared of?
Part of me is that way. I think I get that way sometimes with, like, girls. With like guys, it's more like I just don't want guys listening to it and then, like, trying to convince me that they're, like, the perfect man or some shit because they fucking listen to what I had to say. Or they act like they know me. But I don't know why I get that way. Because it's like, yes, we are a small podcast. But it's like, for us starting out how we have and, like, me talking to other people who have, like, podcasts and who are, like, actually in this, like, field who, like, you know, work with people who do this shit. We do so well. You know what I'm saying?
And I think the thing too,
like, and our followers don't mean shit. Like, our followers on social media, but, like, if you guys saw the amount of listens we got and downloads, like, it's pretty insane for us being a new podcast.
Brings up, if Rodrigo's listening to this, I don't even know if he listens, honestly, but if he is, he's gonna be like, yeah, I fucking told you. He literally, like, comes for my jugular every time we talk about the podcast because he's like, you guys just aren't doing enough with it. And you
no, we aren't. We aren't.
I'm like, and I tell him,
we
I'm
really
like,
aren't.
We acknowledge this. I'm like, you need to understand, like, it would need to be someone's fucking full responsibility to figure out the things we needed to do because we don't have the time to be like, what do we do? Like, it would need to be someone's full. But if he listens to this, he's going to be like, oh my God, Miranda, I've been saying this.
Rodrigo, please help us out. Please talk to me about it.
You want to do it?
Let's leave.
Do it.
Yeah,
Make
have Miranda
plan,
chill.
bro.
Please talk to me about it. And if so, I'll try to figure something out because I want to get this going too. We're just so busy as hell.
He does it all the time. Do you know how much money you guys can make? I'm like, oh my God, I know. I'm like, I know, Rodrigo.
You're like, you don't you don't.
Well, that would just give us more fucking imposter syndrome.
Yeah, there's times I get imposter syndrome when it comes to the podcast, but, like, my only two things is school and the podcast.
Yeah, I think just school right now for me. But totally, it's going to be my job when I start my job. And like
Oh,
my third year of school, we do like basically your whole third year is like you being like a practice therapist. Like you go to a work site and like that's what you do. You do all your hours. I'm so nervous for that already.
that's what my therapist
Uh-huh.
that like saved my life, Haley.
Uh-huh.
Haley, if you're listening to this,
Was
she
she
said she
in
would
that
listen.
phase of her?
Yes, and she was the best.
I
She's
love
like literally
that.
my favorite person ever. Like I can cry. Like you'll do amazing. But I remember at first too meeting her, and she told me like I'm a student still.
Yeah.
Like she explained to me,
I had no
and I remember,
idea. That makes me
yeah,
like her even more.
I remember when I went home. I remember like part of me was like, you know, like am I not getting the same care as I would because this isn't like an
Yeah.
actual professional. Like I kind of thought about those things,
For sure.
and then we kept having our meetings, and like not gonna say like I fell in love with her, but like we just had a connection, and she honestly like saved my life
That
and changed
is
my life for the better. Like she
amazing.
is the reason why I am the way I am now.
I had no
And
idea, Randy.
yeah, and I just think like if I can go to a student like forever, like I would if they were as great
Yeah.
as her, because she was incredible.
I think
But yeah,
it's just a matter of like.
she went to the same school you did, or you are going to.
Oh my God, I'm gonna find her. Like
Now
in
that I
our
think about it,
alumni
yeah.
thing. I think about that all the time though, but I really think so much of like battling those things is just like faking it until you
Fake it till
convince
you make
yourself
it.
or like you convince someone else, and people really only doubt you and your abilities like if they see you doing that. So I feel like if you just act like I know what I'm fucking doing,
It really
like,
is confidence. Just
it is
like
you can sell
no,
yourself
for real.
like
It really is just confidence, and that's all it is.
Okay, so let me
It's
tell
so
you my
wild,
things.
but that's really what it is.
She gave us a
Yes.
she gave us, yeah, she personally emailed me this list of
She did.
what is it? Oh, she gives her audience, what are these? Her top 10 steps for basically getting rid of this.
10
The first
steps
one-
you can use to overcome imposter syndrome.
Yes. The first one she said is break the silence. So basically like just talking about it like we are now. So like telling someone, and I do this to my mom all the time. I'm like, "Mom, I don't think I'm good enough for this. Like I just don't think I should be here." And it's obviously she's my mom, so she's going to be like, "Of course you are, honey." But it's you know, it's nice to like hear someone be like, "You are more than capable. Like you can do the things, you know." What was
Also, if you are like me and you're not like Miranda and you don't talk to your mom about a lot of things, which there's nothing wrong with that, learn how to talk to yourself about it, or like a really close friend.
Yeah,
Like just
tell
go to someone that supports
Yeah,
you.
just tell someone. Most of the time, people aren't going to be like, "Yeah, you fucking suck. You should not be doing
And
that."
if they do, that's another topic that we need to have a conversation
Exactly.
about. But yeah.
Okay, the next one is separating feelings from fact. And the example she gives is like, sometimes you
Ooh, that's
feel
good.
stupid, but that doesn't mean you're stupid.
Damn, she's kind
That's
of
me
preaching
all
right
the
now.
time. That's
It's
me
crazy
all the
because
time.
like that message hits
Yeah.
for like all the reasons besides imposter syndrome right now, because I feel like that's just true. Like, don't let yourself get too emotional about things. Like, you really need to like separate, like,
Yeah, like your feelings from the truth.
facts from feelings.
You know
is
what's so
serious.
crazy too is that reminds me of when I was in therapy, and my therapist would always tell me, like, she'd always say, "Give me the evidence for like the way that you're thinking about those things."
Shit.
And she'd be like, "Do you have any?" And I'd be like, "No." And she's like, "Okay. And do you have the evidence for these other things about yourself
Where's
that
the
are like good
evidence to
things?"
support
Yeah.
your?
And I'd be like, "Oh my God, I never thought about it that way." And she's like, "Well, like if you can't come up with like factual examples for these things, then how is it even true?" And I was like, "Okay."
My mind be making shit up.
I was like,
okay?
I just kind of convinced myself that I had facts. You don't. Okay, the next one is recognize when you should feel fraudulent.
Damn.
When you should? Is that what it says? Yeah.
What a fraud.
What a fraud.
I say that to myself all the time. Like when I put on my
It's-
fake eyelashes, sometimes I'm like, what a fraud. These aren't real.
Oh, okay. And then she says, instead of taking your self-doubt as a sign of your ineptness, that's the right word, right? Recognize that it might be a normal
You're the
response.
scholar here.
to being on the receiving end of stereotypes about competence and intelligence. That one's kind of like a lot to unpack, and
we'll have the link to these in the show notes.
Yeah, that one feels like you should read it yourself.
If you want to go over them, yeah,
feel free. Okay, the next one is accentuate the positive. Okay, so this talks about being a perfectionist. You typically care, obviously, about like the quality of your work.
Way too much.
Yep.
You're in too deep at that point, guys.
And she said just the key is to continue to strive for excellence when it matters most, but don't persevere over routine tasks and forgive yourself when mistakes happen, which is, I think, like a really big one. Because do you ever like make a mistake or say something stupid in front of like a classmate and then you're like, like you've exposed yourself?
Oh, yeah.
And you're like, I didn't expose shit. Like, I'm a fucking person. Like, I made a fucking... said something wrong. I do this just happened to me the other day because there's like so many like words in the field that I'm entering that you can say like one way and you can say it another way, and so I always listen to how people say things, and I'll go with what the majority says because I'm not gonna like try to make myself sound stupid. But I think about that all the time, and I'm like, what if I say this word wrong and then they're like,
they think I'm talking about something completely different.
To say this word.
That was like,
man,
I don't know what this has to do with anything,
bullshit.
but like, I remember like elementary school, like I would have so much anxiety knowing like, what if they call me next? Like, I would read whatever part was next
to practice,
to like prepare.
Me too.
Thinking like, oh, they're gonna call on me or whatever.
Or like if they were going down the chairs, I would count the lines.
Yes,
to know when my
I would, same. And then I would like skim to make sure there was no hard words.
Same.
And say there was like a difficult word that I didn't know how to say, I would be like, whatever that word is, like, over. Like, instead of trying to pronounce it or whatever, because I knew I was going to mess it up, I'd be like, whatever that word is, okay.
Or I'd pause and wait for the teacher to go,
No, over time, I just got over it. So I'd be like, whatever that word is, and then the teacher would be like, God. Randie, it's whatever, and I'm like, that. And then I would keep going.
I remember getting the worst anxiety about that. Like, I'd literally be like, okay, we're each reading a paragraph. So if it's 1, 2, okay, this is my paragraph. Let me read it.
I'd practice.
In my head. Yeah, I'd be like,
I'm like, I want to sound so good. No, me too. I'd be like,
what losers? Oh my God.
We're such show-offs.
Oh my God. Okay.
Imposter.
Literally. The next one says,
frauds.
Develop a healthy response to failure and mistake making.
Ooh.
Basically just fucking moving on from when you make
failure
a mistake.
Is only the opportunity to begin again more intelligently.
Yeah. And
wow, Henry Ford.
I know. The next one.
I'll read the rest.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
I'll read them because you've been reading. Poor girl, I forgot. I'm like, we should be taking turns. The number 6, the next one is write the rules, and that's write with an R. You're not writing it. It says if you've been operating under misguided rules, like I should always know the answer or never ask for help, start asserting your rights. Damn, I kind of needed to read this out loud because this is me. Like,
I should always know the answer. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, oh, like people who are always like, you should always know the answer, or like, you can never be wrong, or like stuff like that. Like, that could really get to you, and that stuff gets conditioned in your head. Could fuck up a lot of things.
I agree.
The next one.
I like that one. I like the next one's my favorite, I think.
Develop a new script. Ooh, this is like those tweets. This reminds me of those tweets that Rodrigo retweets when it's like when I'm discussing my rebrand, like with myself.
Oh,
and
yeah.
It's like all the people at the table.
It's all of that.
Become conscious. It's literally the same person, and they're just like chit-chatting. Develop a new script. Become consciously aware of the conversation going on in your head, and when you're in a situation that triggers your imposter feelings. Damn. So just basically becoming aware and knowing.
Wait, read that next fucking sentence, because that's me.
This is your internal script.
No.
Then instead of thinking, wait till they find out I have no idea what I'm doing. What the fuck are we doing, guys? I love this.
The thing with this too is
God, are we just frauds?
No, we're really honest, so that makes us not. The thing with this is, and this kind of goes back to that first one about like talking to people about it. I have made friends like through our virtual like community with school, and I talked to this one girl, and it's
that's
always
nice.
such a refreshing feeling when we're talking about something, and she's like, oh my God, I'm so stressed out. Like, this is so, and I'm like, oh my God,
You're like, it's not just me.
just me. And I think that I like get in this like thing where I'm like, everyone here knows what they're doing, and everyone is so on top of things, and I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, I think that all the time too.
And it's like, in the reality, I'm like, these people, half of these people probably don't know what they're doing. Like, I ended up partnering with this one girl in one of my classes last term, and she was just telling me about how she, like, doesn't really do the work and this, and I was like, we're in grad school. Like, what the fuck? But I was like, okay, not everyone has it together. Like, that's okay. But it made me feel like less like, oh my God, Miranda, you're failing at life.
Like you're the only one who sucks at this.
Yeah,
or
and like I got all my homework done, so like I wasn't doing anything bad. But yeah,
you're really on top of your shit.
I really fucking try. Where are we at?
Number 8, visualize success. Do what professional athletes do. What do they do? Let's find out. Spend time beforehand picturing yourself making a successful presentation or calmly posing your question in class. Do they really do that? LeBron James, do you do that?
Probably, honestly.
Anyone else do that? Visualize success. I feel like I've been visualizing success my entire life, but maybe, never mind. That's why it's not working, because part of me is doubting myself.
Yeah,
that's
the
why
next
it's
thing
not
it says, too, is, like, it's better
Reward
to do
yourself.
that than to visualize the worst thing that can happen, which is also something my therapist always talked about, like, what's the likelihood of that horrible thing happening in comparison to like all the other
my favorite thing
options
is when like I think about something negatively, and then there's those people who are like, well, it's just gonna be negative because you keep thinking negatively or whatever, and I'm just like,
I need you to just let me do this, okay?
Just
let me just feel the feelings.
Number 9, reward yourself. Break the cycle of continually seeking and then dismissing validation outside of yourself by learning to pat yourself on the back. We could all do this a little bit more. Accept the compliments people give you, and also just tell yourself you're proud of yourself.
Yeah, if you do one thing that you said you were going to do, that's a step in the right direction. Stamps
proud of
for
you for it. And last, fake it till you make it. Wow, Miranda Joe, did you write these?
I did. No, that's just like to me the easiest one. Like if you
really
don't know how to do something, fucking fake it. Like unless it's like something that obviously you can't fake. But
imagine faking it so well that you actually become so great at it.
Do you know how many people have probably become really successful people because of that?
Yeah.
Because they faked their way through things. And there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like I do that. I mean, I don't know.
The majority of the time. That's like
every day of my life.
Yeah, that's me. I don't really know what's going on, guys, but I act like it.
Same. Yes. And I think that that's like, I mean, obviously that's like the basis of our whole podcast. We do have things more figured out these days, but.
We do. I feel like, can you guys see our growth? I feel like I can.
I like to think we've grown, but I don't know what other people think.
Super random, kind of off topic, but the other day I was thinking about how I wanted to get back into journaling.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
like,
not even,
that too.
You know, like just to write, you know, I'm like, you know, maybe I'll give it to my nephew one day. I'm like, you read about your aunt's life, like when I'm on my deathbed or something random. I don't know. But then I started listening to our podcast because I was taking notes for episodes. And I just was like, dude, we have like, this is our journal right here. Mm-hmm. And we can go back and listen to it whenever, because
that
is, I love that. I think it's so cool.
That is cool. I never thought about it that way. It is though. It is like that. Like we do like write notes and like journal. I had actually a whole notebook with all of our journals all of my notes from like season 1.
But I want to start like a new one, like just about life.
Same. And one of my classes I'm in is group therapy, and one of the readings we did was just talking about like how journaling and like just like free journaling, like no topic in mind, is like so important for people to do. And people like, it's such like a good like mindfulness activity. People like just don't realize how good it is for you.
Yeah, I remember when I was first like introduced to mindfulness, like when I first started college, like that was my shit, just journaling, just like writing anything that came to my mind, anything. And I would like finish.
It's kind of interesting to like, and then you find it and you read it and you're like, what the hell?
Oh my God, there
That's so funny.
There are some times that I've like found things. I'm like, wow, you were going through.
Do you
it.
know
I was
what's
like, no one should find
yeah,
you. Should get locked up.
I'm
like, you'll get locked up.
When I was in high school, I feel like I used to like journal like my feelings.
Yeah.
Or like middle school.
Oh, my favorite was, I never really did it in middle school or high school, but like it was popping in elementary.
Oh yeah.
Like all my crushes or like, this bitch was mean to me today.
Yeah. Today
on the playground.
Today he got me a pencil, or like today he whatever, you know.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. What
he gave me his hot Cheetos.
You know what? Oh my god. Or like
that.
he gave me that bracelet he wears every day. You know, if you were wearing a boy's bracelet, that was
he stole his sister's bracelet and gave it to me on Valentine's Day. Some stupid shit. I love that. Wow.
So do I. Wow.
No one's still shit for me anymore.
You just took me back to this. A memory was unlocked right now. When we were in elementary school, Randie and I went to the same elementary school.
We did.
There was like, I think I had to have been in like 4th grade or 5th grade. So it was like my 1st or 2nd year at this school. And I remember this guy that I still know to this day. Like, I still know him.
I don't know why you haven't said anything, but I feel like I know who you're talking about already.
He showed up with like chocolates and like this stuffed bear for me. I thought we were just friends. And then this other kid, mind you, I had a boyfriend in 4th grade, and my boyfriend brought me nothing. But this guy brought me chocolates and a bear, and this is so ingrained in my memory because poor little me was so confused. I didn't know what to do with myself. This other guy literally had his mother take him to the store and bought me this little necklace that had conjoined hearts.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and I don't know about him anymore, but like,
I think the highlight of my elementary career was in 2nd grade. One of my teachers had like an after school party, and we all went in our pajamas.
I loved after school stuff like that.
Yeah, it was the best. And 2 guys who were best friends, they're like still best friends till this day. No, they fought over me. They literally like got in a fight during the party because they both decided that they liked me and wanted to confess it the same day.
No one does it like elementary school boys do.
Yeah, I didn't even go out with.
I don't mean that in a creepy way.
I just remember. No, I was just watching them. I was just watching them fight over me, drinking my 7-Up.
Elementary school boys are hilarious.
With my side ponytail because I was obsessed with Napoleon Dynamite.
How did we not know?
How did I pull men with the side ponytail? I had a side ponytail.
Every picture of me from like kindergarten to fucking 6th grade.
With a bow.
On
with
the
bow.
Side of my head.
Yep, yeah. Me. And that shit was slick.
It wasn't
there was no little bumps. There was no flyaways. Like I made sure my mom got it.
Part too.
Perfect. Yep.
Yeah. She would slick all my little hairs down.
My mom got it good.
Yeah, and then she'd straighten my pony so it'd be nice and sleek.
Yep. And my mom would put like oil in my hair.
Yeah, we had BioSilk.
Yeah. No, yes. Dude, our moms were on it. This is why we are the way we are now.
Oh my god, the craziest thing about all of this is we didn't know each other.
My mom would put the oil in her hand and warm it up with her hand. She's like, that's what you do, Randie.
We were living like identical.
We were.
Fucking getting ready in the morning lives and had no idea. And we were probably the only ones at school with side ponytails. I don't even know how we didn't become friends.
We were in different grades. That's just what it was.
It was like a 1-year difference, but dang, I used to wear side ponytails in high school too at cheer practice.
I was like rocking that shit. Yeah, I would come with my bow would match my outfit, and I'd be like,
yeah. Oh my god, I remember when we were little. I know this has nothing to do with imposter syndrome, but I don't care. We would go to Michael's, right? And so like if you got like you wanted a certain colored bow, we'd go and like pick out the bow and like the texture of the bow, and then my mom would come home and cut them and burn the edges. Cut them. So they stayed nice. Yep. Oh
my mom would too. So they wouldn't unravel.
Kids do that anymore?
We were on our shit.
My bows never came on.
Honestly, like.
What the fuck?
Okay, this is when I realized that This is when I realized I felt old. At work the other day.
Oh God, what did someone say?
I was talking to this kid because there was this person at work who was wearing Ed Hardy.
Did they not know what it was?
No. So I asked this kid. I'm like, hey, insert name here. Yeah. I'm like, you know what Ed Hardy is, right? And he was like, what? And I was like Jersey Shore, like people used to wear it, like Affliction. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Guys, I used to wear Ed Hardy in elementary, and I thought I was so hard.
Do you know what else I used to wear?
I had the shoes. I had the jackets. I had it all. True Religions.
I used to wear Von Dutch hats. Like, I was the shit. God. Like,
yeah.
I would wear a trucker hat and like a denim skirt.
And like, I had my little rave girl purse that had my initial on it.
The 2 different colored tank tops where like the pink one would hang out at the bottom of the white one.
And then your other one was on top, like perfectly the amount coming out. Yep.
I want to go back to that. Let's do that again because that was
I'm kind of on that shit now. I'm literally, I almost bought a trucker hat today. I was like, I don't know what it is, but I'm just obsessed.
The layered tank. Let's do it. I'm going to do it again. You got to get them really long so that the other
you have to get one long one, the other one short on top. I love that.
Oh my God.
Do you remember? I hated it. I never did it. And I know most of you girls probably did, so don't come for me.
I probably did. What is it?
When girls used to wrap their fucking like PE shirts or their t-shirts with the rubber band.
I never did that.
I'm like, ew. My mom would never let me do that. I was so like, I was like judgy, but not judgy. I would be like, my mom would not approve of that.
My clothes would be baggy as hell.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not taking. I am not.
My shorts like touched my knee. They were so long.
I hated it so much though. When girls would like wear their PE clothes like all day.
They used to make me do that when I got dress coded.
Oh, that was different.
And I'd be like, can I just wear my regular shirt? And they'd be like, no. You have to wear the full outfit.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so rude.
No, but some girls just did that for fun. And
I was like, we literally got so sweaty in that. That is horrendous.
Yeah, I'm like, ew. I'm like, I don't care if you walked to the mile or not.
We went to the same middle school, too, and we still did not know each other. And we probably fucking lived the same thoughts every day and everything. How did that happen?
But look at us now.
I know.
Talking about imposter syndrome.
Ginger counterpart, and I had no idea.
I know, but now you do.
Oh my God. Well, I hope you guys just enjoyed our talks, and I hope that unlocked some memories of you going to the store and getting hair bows.
I also want to know, like, what do you feel like imposter syndrome? Like, I'm very interested, like, I wonder if people feel that way in, like, relationships.
I was just going to say that. Like, people that are married.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, and like, relationships count, but like marriage seems
like
I
don't deserve this. Like, I don't,
Or do you think that they're like, I'm a fraud. I don't want any of this in my life.
Oh, I could think of one right now. I think that's also self-sabotaging. I know a lot of motherfuckers who do that. I think you just don't want to be good enough.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you.
Ponder some more of these
I really think that's what it is.
I'm going to think about that. I also was thinking, and I don't know if this is what we're going to talk about next week, but before we got on, Randie and I were talking about, what is that term? Gaslighting. Have we talked about this before? I feel like we have.
I feel like we've touched on it, but we haven't been like, oh, this is gaslighting.
If we haven't had a full
because gaslighting is becoming a very popular word now, and more people are starting to find out what gaslighting is. So
I had to explain it to my mom one time.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think I could talk all fucking day.
I was going to say, if we're going to dig into our episodes and see if we've done one, and then maybe we'll talk about it because it's kind of relevant to Randie's life right now. So
yeah, there's a lot.
We like to talk about things that are hot and new, and this is
hot and
press. Me, you.
Yeah, a lot of shit that's going on in my life, guys. I wish I could just tell you guys everything, but I need to keep some stuff private
until it blows over, and then we'll.
I'm gonna figure out how fast this is gonna blow over because I'm just ready to talk my shit. Because honestly, you guys would be proud of me. I'm sticking up for myself.
Yeah.
But this is some bullshit, and I'm just over it, guys. I'm over it.
I agree. It's making me sweat right now.
I almost downloaded dating apps again, guys. That's how close I was.
She might next week when we report back. We'll let you know.
Fuck that.
Also, let us know if you think we still need to introduce ourselves, because.
Yeah. Do you want to hear us say our names all the time?
Or is it like?
How would Rodrigo feel about that?
And oh my God! Wait. Okay, this is the last thing I'm gonna say, and then we'll shut up and leave. The other day, I did my class at his apartment. And I'm like, make sure you're quiet because I'm going to have to introduce myself. And he goes, are you going to go, and I'm Miranda? I was like, in what context would I go, and I'm Miranda? Like,
imagine you did because you just started thinking about it so much. You were just like,
and I'm Miranda. They're like, okay. Yeah, no. That's all I had to say about that. But
I love that. But thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in.
Yes.
Please share, like, subscribe, all that shit. Follow us on everything. We're back.
Yep.
And yeah. That's it, guys.
Bye.
Peace out.